us today. We're very happy to be able to put this together for you, this workshop today, but also to have the SBIR Connect program through a partnership with NIWIC Pacific under NAVWAR. This partnership is meant to help demystify the program and also NAVWAR, but to also make the partnerships and relationships between government, industry, and academia more accessible to you. A quick overview of Connect for those of you who don't know. We're a San Diego nonprofit that really aim to help innovators in the region through various programs that we have, like SBIR Connect. We also have other programs that focus on providing access to education, mentors, and VCs and investors. So it's a really good opportunity for you. And if you have questions or if you want more information, please check out our website. We'll post it on the chat, but also feel free to email us with any questions and we'll provide that info for you. For today's workshop, we wanted to do a couple of things. One of the first things is to share a little bit about the Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer, or SBIR STTR program updates. For those of you who aren't aware of the program and missed our last workshop where we introduced it, no worries. We have a great speaker today that I'm sure will cover that again, or a quick summary of it. But we also have videos on our SBIR Connect page. I'll post that on the chat as well. And we do have that workshop recorded if you're interested to go check that out. Shadi Azum, who's going to be the presenter for that section, is the SBIR STTR program manager at NAVWAR. NAVWAR is the Naval Information Warfare Systems Command. I know it's a little confusing for those of us who are new to the government world. But to put it in simpler terms, the Navy, the main goal, right, is to help our fleet. And therefore, it's broken down into a few system commands or SysComs. And they all have their own areas of responsibility. So NAVWAR is one of those SysComs, and it focuses on information dominance. So today you'll hear from two program offices at NAVWAR, PMW, Program Office 160 and 170, Tactical Networks and Communications and GPS Navigations, respectively. And so you'll get to hear what they do, what their capability gaps are. And if there's any questions, just post them throughout the presentations and we'll do our best to answer them at the end of the workshop. If we run out of time, just email them to me and I'll make sure I'll get those answers back to you. I do want to thank all of our speakers for being here. Shadi Azum, Carla Molina, and McLeana for their time today. Carla and McLeana are the APM for S&Ts, or Assistant Program Managers for Science and Technology for the program offices. Their time is really valuable, so we're very lucky that they made time today to come interact with you today. So thank you all ahead of time, and Shadi, please take it away.
For sure. Hey, thanks, Gretel, for that introduction. That's awesome. So yeah, just for everyone that does not know about me, I'm Shadi Azum. Shadi rhymes with daddy. It's a corny mnemonic, but it works for everyone on how to better pronounce my first name. And just as Gretel mentioned, I lead the SBIR STTR programs at NAVWAR, NAVWAR being one of the many different Navy system commands that actually pushes out topics for the small business community to bid and submit a proposal in response to. That being said, we have several different cycles 3 times a year that we specifically release SBIR and STTR topics. We just had one released last week on April 21st. And it's one of the topics, we just submitted just one. It's associated with one of our program offices. One of the program offices is PW 146. They are not on this specific call today. It's completely separate. We just wanted to have just a separate workshop that allow you guys to just get some more in tune with some of our program offices. So any questions related to the 21.2 or this current cycle, if you have questions about that specific topic that we did release, this is not the workshop for you. This is just a general overview or information workshop. But we wanted to take some time out of this workshop to kind of share with you guys a little bit about the broad agency announcement, or basically the document that's posted publicly that shares our topics and those important dates that go along with it, so that you can be kept abreast of some important information related if you are interested in submitting a proposal to one of our topics. That being said, I have a couple of slides for us, so I am going to share my screen. And if you guys are unable to see the slides, please let me know. But I think it says that I'm screen sharing, so it seems to be all good. So this slide deck is really meant to kind of give you some tips towards the 21.2 or the second cycle of this fiscal year's broad agency announcement. Again, this is something that was pre-released on April 21st last week. So this is just giving you guys an overview of the broad agency announcement or that specific document that's posted publicly. Okay. So this is just a disclaimer. Please, please, please read the broad agency announcement if you are interested in submitting a proposal to one of our topics. It is very important. Please do not take my presentation as the end all be all. This is just meant to really provide a visual and audio supplement to the actual document itself. So again, this is not meant to replace the contents of the broad agency announcement, but meant to just supplement it. We have included a link on this slide deck where you can find our broad agency announcement. And then it's broadly all of the Navy SBIR topics are kind of put together with all the other sister agencies that are a part of the Department of Defense. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the other topics that are underneath the Department of Defense, it's DoD SBIR SCTR.mil. And we've included a link on that on this slide. Okay, slide 3. What is the SBIR SCTR program? So for those that did not attend our last workshop where we did cover a little bit of our primer, and also we do have some videos that Gretel and I have co-hosted on the connect.org/SBIR website for you guys to check out. But as just a basic high-level summary, the SBIR and SCTR program basically provides seed funding to small businesses to help address government needs, but to help you as a small business grow. And so there is this factor of commercialization that comes with every one of our SBIR topics. In fact, the one that has been published in our 21.2 cycle does have a potential dual use application. So that's kind of the one of the facets behind the program, is that you're not just addressing some of NAVWAR's needs, but you're also really helping have more than just one application of it. Small businesses may subcontract the work to a research institution or a large business in an SBIR. The BAA that's posted in the prior slide does include a little bit more detail about what that subcontractor engagement is, but that's an option for SBIR. But for STTR, which is a sister program, the small business must actually subcontract the work to a research institution. So all of that information is clearly articulated in the broad agency announcement. This is just a high-level summary of it. Both programs are competitive 3-phase programs. And of course, they all start or spawn from a topic that we post publicly, again, on DoD SBIR SCTR.mil. And we'll kind of cover, I think in the next slide, I have a little overview of what the phase structure looks like. But we encourage you to take a look at the not only the BAA, but also Connect's resources on connect.org/SBIR to kind of get a little bit more information about the program itself beyond this workshop. Okay, I mentioned that SBIR SCTR is a competitive 3-phase cycle. If you are interested in submitting a proposal to our single 21.2 topic that we posted, which deals with PEO space systems, one of our PEO that's related to some of more space-related projects. If you do submit a proposal or you're interested in submitting, you will be competing for what is known as a Phase 1 award. It's a small-scale award that provides you with enough funding to give the government a feasibility study to prove the feasibility of your respective solution in response to the problem that was posted in the topic. You, following the Phase 1 process, which is a 6 to 12-month process, you do then get down selected to a Phase 2, which, as you see in this slide, offers a substantial amount of funding to expand the feasibility study and to provide the development costs for a prototype. Only those companies that were awarded a phase one are eligible to compete for the phase two award. And the phase three is kind of the success to the SBIR SCTR program. It's meant to take what is a topic that was initially pushed by one of our program offices and actually transition it into their respective programs. Again, SBIR SCTR is the seed funding, and I like to emphasize that because it's not does not carry the full funding throughout the entire life cycle of your exact project. And again, this phase structure, we actually have a dedicated video dedicated to that on our connect.org/SBIR website. So I'm just constantly mentioning the website as a resource, which it is. Okay, the 21.2 SBIR Broad Agency announcement. It's a full document. It is very lengthy, I will say, but the bulk of the document itself are all the topics that is posted on the DoD. So there are 8 main sections to the document. Those are very critical 8 sections. It's the first from page 1 to 47, I believe. And that's where you get all the details about eligibility. You get all the details with regards to what percentage of the work that the small business must follow. Further, you'll also get some instructions about how to craft your proposal as far as like what the submission requirements are. I mean, if it comes down to like margins and even font size, and that's a very critical piece that a lot of companies I think ignore or bypass, and then they do get rejected because they didn't look over those pages. So it is quite a bit of a reading, but it's highly suggested to read that before you ever submit one of your proposals in response to the topics. So as I said, the bulk of the broad agency announcement, there's actually like, I would say two large sections. The first section covers information about how to submit the proposal, and that's further divided into 8 subsections, I would say. And then the second major piece of it is all the topics under DoD, and it's posted there. So the document is so large. You'll find that all of the Navy topics start at page 48 for this specific broad agency announcement. So that's kind of just an outline of what exactly that BAA consists of. I'm on slide 6 right now, which covers a little bit of where you can find eligibility. We have specific strict instructions about what, or specific information of what qualifies as a small business that can submit to the SBIR SCTR program. That's listed on page 8 of the current BAA. So we recommend that you check that out, especially if you are very new and you've never touched or been a part of the SBIR or SCTR programs, but would like to know. Instructions or eligibility is listed in page 8. I'm on slide 7 right now, which covers proposal fundamentals. So within those 8 sections that I talked about in the first major part of the BAA, there are a few sections to kind of keep in mind, and I've kind of summarized that here. Again, this is not a end all be all. We still encourage you to read all of it, but these are some highlights that I would like to point out. In the BAA, we do state that for phase 1s, if you're competing, especially with our 21.2 topic that NAVOR issued, the firm must do at least 2/3 of the work. Later down the road, if you do get selected to get an award for phase 2, the firms must do at least half of the work. So do keep in mind about that specific qualification when you're submitting your proposals. We also, and this is the second bullet here on the slide, we designate one specific individual within every SBIR project as a principal investigator. Think of that as your main POC within your small business that's leading. It's like the project manager. So there is specific information of what qualifies as a principal investigator, and that must be that they must be primarily employed by the small business. Third bullet here on section 4.2D of the BAA states that all work must be performed in the United States. That's also a factor for proposals that are submitted. And then section 4.10 is another section that talks about debriefs. Anytime you do submit a proposal in response to a broad agency announcement, you have the ability to request what is known as a debrief. Think of that as a follow-on or it's a report of all the comments from our evaluators. At NAVOR, we take very big pride into making sure that our comments in response to the proposals that each and every one of the companies that do submit it are very thorough, because we do realize that companies do spend quite a bit of time creating these proposals. I think I went to one of the outreach events where I presented, and someone had declared it was like $10,000 to $15,000 like worth of labor. And so we recognize that at NAVWAR. So do keep in mind that you do have that right to request a debrief. And there are instructions when you do receive notice whether or not you have been selected to move to phase one, that you can, there's specific instructions to request that debrief. But that BAA, or this BAA, actually does talk a little bit about what that means. And then finally, a really big important one, that probably the one bullet you'll probably really need to know, is the help desk email, which is listed here. Any issues with uploading a proposal to one of our, to the actual portal itself, please contact this help desk. Unfortunately, myself, my colleagues that are here on this phone call, we do not have the same administrator access that REI Systems has. So if there are any issues, you're more than welcome to contact us, but that email is the help desk email should you have any problems uploading your proposal. Okay, slide 8 covers a timeline of events. So as I mentioned, April 21st was the date that we posted our topics. That sets a clock of 30 days, or approximately 30 days, I would say, where during this time you can actually contact the topic authors directly to get a more technical clarification of the topic that we posted. Again, the folks on this call, McLeana and Carlo, which thank you for showing up and presenting today, they are not the topic authors for the 21.2 topic that we posted. So there is a specific emails, or there are 2 topic authors we have listed. Please contact those emails in the broad agency announcement should you have any questions about that respective topic. But between the 21st of April and May 18th is the time period where you can ask questions directly to the topic authors. I would say that if you are ever interested in submitting to an AV topic, not just NAVWAR, or any of the DoD topics, please take full advantage of this 30-day period. It's the one period that I think small businesses get a little bit more intelligence on the topic, where it's going, what's the program of record, what's the transition of the target program that they're transitioning to. I also think it's a great idea to see whether or not you as a small business could qualify or should submit a proposal. Because it is quite an investment of your time, it's important that you don't waste your own time in submitting something that might not be related to what you're working on. So it's a great 30-day period to have that intimate conversations. Following that period comes a 30-day open period, where not only can you submit your proposals officially, but if you are going to post any questions, they must be posted publicly, and answers are posted publicly as well. So that's a very critical distinction from the prior period, because you'd probably want to take full advantage of that intimate time with topic authors with respect to it. Following the last day of the BAA, open period, it's the close date, which I've reflected on here is June 17th at 12 Eastern time, which they take very seriously. That is the period. From that period to no later than 90 days, the government is then going through an evaluation period to evaluate all the proposals that were submitted to our topic. So kind of keeping it in context with this current cycle, if you are interested in submitting to our 21.2 topic, you will receive a notice of selection or non-selection within 90 days from June 17th. And then we do follow another 90-day period to make sure that we do award the phase 1 awards that I talked about in the last video within 180 days or 90 days after that selection notice date. A lot of folks ask us what exactly or how are we evaluating our proposals that do come in. And we actually publicly release what we're evaluating against. So you see this here on slide 9. It's further talked about in the BAA in section 6. we evaluated on 3 different criteria. The first one is kind of the bulk, which is, the soundness and the technical merit and what you're bringing to the table, that proposed solution. The second is qualifications of your team makeup, or the team that is proposing to resolve the topic's problem statement. And then finally, the potential to commercialize. So we're also looking for your own strategy on how you're marketing, or what would take it after prototype, and how you intend on commercializing that specific product. So all 3 of those are key criterias on that. Again, when you do receive a debrief, you will see comments with respect to those criteria. So we're pretty open and transparent about what we're evaluating on. And I think that kind of just summarizes it. Again, I just wanted to take certain pieces from the BAA that I think are pretty important to kind of talk about. There is a section that really talks about how you should format, and I didn't want to bore anyone on the call about like, oh, you need to use, a specific font or specific font size. So with that, please still review the broad agency announcement in its entirety. Typically, we keep the same BAA guidelines throughout every cycle. Of course, it changes over time. Just please kind of keep in mind that that's the end-all be-all document that we reference whenever proposals are rejected, or if you have any questions in regards to how the process flow works. It's all tied to the BAA. It's kind of like our Bible when it comes to SBIR topics and how they work. Slide 10 is more like, I guess, a fun fact, but a lot of folks get, kind of confused about our nomenclature when it comes to topics. This kind of just summarizes what that topic structure looks like. Every topic is assigned a unique number or a unique identifier. And if you're ever curious what that unique identifier, is broken out to, that's listed here. We actually have a video on that as well on the connect.org/SBIR website. And then this last slide that I have here just covers some tips. Please do not wait until the very last day to submit a proposal. You'll be surprised every cycle we receive, a small business that I guess is, more in the refinement process. We understand that you're taking your time in developing a full-fledged proposal, but sometimes on the last day, probably due to the influx of proposals coming in, there are some issues that come around to it. So the sooner you can submit your proposal, the better. Please also read the submission requirements. And then last but not least, every one of our SBIR topics is bound to an acquisition program. It is that program that we look to make sure that we are transitioning the work that you're developing in phase 1 and 2. By all means, I think, and I don't mean to speak for our speakers even today, but if you'd like more information about that program of record in response to the topic, you're more than welcome to open that discussion during the pre-release period to get more information about it. And I think our topic authors are more than willing to share, especially how that topic or how that problem fits within their overall program requirements, or what that specific program does for the fleet. So please take full advantage of that. And ask, please do, because I think we are more than willing to provide that information. I think I've talked enough. So I think with that being said, I will turn it over, and yeah, Gretel, back to you.
Thank you, Shadi. That was super helpful, especially for those of you wishing to apply. It doesn't have to be a Navy topic. The DoD is the one that has this 21.2 going. So I did provide that link on the chat for you if you want to take a look at all of the DoD topics that are posted right now. So there's that. And then now we welcome Carlo Molina. He is the APM for S&T for Program Office 160, and I won't steal his thunder. I'll just go ahead and share his slides.
Hey, good afternoon, all. I'm not seeing the slides yet. Is it up, Gretel?
Yeah, one second. I'm having a little issue with it. I will get there.
Sure. I don't think my camera is working.
Those are the fun times of working from home and everything virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just give me 1 second. I'll go ahead and share Let me know if that works for everyone.
There you go.
Great.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gretel. Hey, good afternoon, all. Thanks for taking the time and joining us on this session. Just a quick introduction. Like Gretel mentioned, my name is Carlo Molina. I'm actually a recent hire within 160, PNW 160. It's my third month on the job as a science and technology APM. And I want to say that I'm still new to the program and learning quite a bit as I go. And on top of that, I'm new to the Navy. I transferred from the Air Force, working acquisitions for over 15 years. So I'm learning the Navy specific acronyms, mission, and the nuances that come along with it. Additionally, I'm also a major in the Air Force Reserves, currently working in the strategy division, supporting our efforts in the Korean Peninsula, mainly in the Air Operations Center. So enough about me. Next slide, please. So PNW 160, like Gretel has mentioned, it's the program office for tactical networks. Our current program manager is Captain Katie Bain, and our deputy and her deputy is Mr. Bill Farmer. So in 160, our vision really is to provide secure, reliable networks and enabling information dominance. And our mission is to deliver and support agile and secure networks and IT services. Slide, please. So within our portfolio in 160, the organization is really comprised of 4 areas. Which is the wide area networks, the platform application services, CANES, and the other on the right, bottom right there. So within WAN is what we call it, wide area networks. That entails the ADNS, which is the automated digital network systems. Really, that's the Navy's tactical WAN solution. It's the entryway into the ship services and applications. And then we also have the Pierce network, and that's the terrestrial transport solution to the fleet, while the ships are docked pier side all over the world. And we also have OCF, which is the other customer funds. And the bottom left there, it's the platform application services that consists of ACS, Agile Core Services, and that's really the they provide a set of software services in the shared framework for the applications to be able to build, deploy, and operate. Also within PaaS platform is AI, application integration. Folks that integrate application solutions within our tactical networks, and also the ECS, which is the emergent CANE services, which deals with chat services and anything systems that are emergent. And on the top right, CANES, which stands for, still learn the acronyms, Consolidated Afloat Networks and Enterprise System, which really it boils down to that's the network on the ship. Also within that team, they do in-service development and in-service networks. And then on the bottom right, of course, cybersecurity, information assurance, which is all important. And we also have the product support, which deals with the training and logistics. Slide, please. So with regards to efforts and gaps, I really just wanted to list a couple of things that support our portfolio within network communications. We're looking at ways to really better utilize the bandwidth constraints that the ships or the users are dealing with. I think the platforms or the ships really have limited amount of usable pipe to communicate. And so we really need to find innovative ways to solve these constraints, whether it is software, hardware solution, or a combination of both. Additionally, from a cross-domain network and data access, I think the Navy has DoD, anywhere you go, whichever services, we have tons of systems, and all those systems are either hosted on some type of network, of course, either from unclass to TS to SCI level. I think we really shoot ourselves in the foot when we stand up these capabilities and not have the ability to have cross-domain data access and be able to take advantage of the synergy of those capability that it outputs. And then from a cyber resilience, we need to continue looking at cyber resiliency against threats. We need to have the ability to continuously monitor and control the cyber infrastructure, and really to allow the ability for an on-demand network orchestration or self-organizing from a network topology view. One technology trend that we're looking at utilizing is using software-defined networks as a technology that will really allow us to be agile, be resilient against all potential cyber issues today and any future flexibilities or issues that we face with. So really, you have to think outside the box. Our efforts, I think, have been developing in mainly peacetime and in conflicts that the U.S. has been really dominating. So we need to start looking at potential future threats, how we operate these systems in those type of environments, and how it's challenged by our adversaries in contested and denied operations. And I think the only way to get around this is to really to be innovative, find ways to overcome problem sets. We need to learn fast in the development, learn from the mistakes, find solutions faster, and really, at the end of the day, it's a money thing, right? We really got to bound our solution to our budgetary and fiscal constraints. But by all means, what I have in the slide, it's not the end all be all, right? It's the goal is for me is to really provide a broad stroke of view of potential efforts within our portfolio that we're trying to pursue. And hopefully, maybe one of you guys or the small business community can offer innovative solutions that you can help bring to the table. So really, we need to, I think, digitize, orchestrate, and automate using AI, artificial intelligence, or machine learning to develop our products securely. We got to do more of it faster and cheaper. Next slide, please. Data, FY19 is the sort of a sample set of what we engage the industry in FY19 as a PMW 160 program office as part of our technical director team. You can sort of read through the lines as to what efforts we are focusing in, but not necessarily focused on a specific topic, but we always try to engage the industry, such as the SBIRs industry, small business. We work with Office of Naval Research, DARPA, and any, you name it, any other SMT organization. So really we can increase and foster SMT efforts. So we can be aware of potential solutions or emerging technologies that can be leveraged to current problem sets that we have. Slide, please. So within our technical director team, actually, I'm currently right now being dual-hatted as the acting technical director within PMW 160 and as a SMT APM. Our Charlie Suggs is our technical advisor, and we have Ben Lukowski as our TD support. And below there's our team email that you can contact us. That's pretty much it for my brief. I believe the Q&A is at the end. With that, I'd like to turn it over to my SMT counterpart, which is McLeana Ohm, for PMW 170 for her portion of the brief. Thanks all.
Thank you, Carlo. That was awesome. McLeana, please go ahead.
Perfect. I'm going to share my screen now. So hopefully that comes up for folks.
We're good to go.
Okay, I'll put on presentation mode so it's a bit bigger. So hi everyone, my name is McLeana Ohm. I am the Assistant Program Manager for SMT in PMW/A170. Before I jump into 170, I kind of wanted to backtrack a bit and kind of give you a bit more insight as to kind of the various different program offices and how they kind of fit in the overall structure of NAVWAR. So I know Gretel touched on it a bit. but for those who might not know, the program offices are responsible for acquiring, fielding, and also supporting C4ISR systems that extend across the Navy, as well as joint and coalition platforms. So in essence, we're focused on taking requirements and turning them into solutions for the warfighter. And just a bit of a fun fact, if you're ever curious about the numbering scheme, if it's a 100 number, so like Carlo is 169, 170, that means we're responsible for the systems, especially acquiring it. And there are also 700 clubs that take those systems and integrate it into the respective platforms. So for example, PMW 770 is the Undersea Communications and Integration Program Office. So they integrate that into all of our undersea platforms, including submarines and unmanned undersea platforms as well. So PMW 760 does ship integration. So just a bit of a fun fact in case you're interacting with different program office, so you kind of know exactly what it is you're doing by the numbering of the PMW. So with that, I'll jump to touch a bit more on the program office I support. So PMW/A170 is the Communications and GPS Navigation Program Office. We do have a slash, so that means we're both a PMW and a PMA. So we belong to both NAVWAR and NAVAIR. And specifically, our role as a PMA is to provide GPS-based navigation to naval air platforms. And our mission, I'll just read it right there. It's to provide and support interoperable, cost-effective communications and position navigation timing services, enabling information warfare for maritime forces. So to do this, our program office is divided into three main portfolios. The first being satellite communications. So for this portfolio, we utilize both commercial and military satellite constellations to provide voice, video, and data to meet both strategic and tactical objectives. The second portfolio is our tactical communications portfolio. This utilizes line of sight, beyond line of sight, and SATCOM waveforms that operate between the 2 megahertz and 15 gigahertz range. And that's to basically provide secure connectivity for naval platforms, as well as joint and coalition platforms. Our last portfolio is position navigation and timing. This portfolio provides GPS-based capabilities to naval surface, subsurface, and as I mentioned before, air platforms. So to go back to our vision is assured resilient communications and GPS navigation anytime, anywhere. And that really goes hand in hand with the two gap areas that we have. Those are resilient command, control, and communications, or RC3, and assured position navigation and timing, APNT. So I'll spend a couple minutes on each one and kind of go a little bit deeper as to the different gap areas and kind of give insight to kind of what technologies and solutions we're looking for each. So the first, RC3, for those who have some interaction with the DoD, I'm sure you're familiar with the term RC2. RC3 is a new term that's kind of circulating now within the DoD. The best way I can define it is the goal for RC3 is to enable command and control, as well as provide continued connectivity through all types of warfighting environments to ensure that all objectives are met. So some areas that kind of help with that, quality of life. With the ongoing pandemic, there's really no denying that our mental, physical, and emotional well-being is affected. And that's certainly the case for sailors. So for this area, we're looking for solutions that provide more throughput for ships. We want sailors to be able to stay in touch with their loved ones. So essentially, what can we do to improve their quality of life from a communications perspective? The next bullet there, innovative and improved antenna aperture technologies. We're always on the lookout for novel solutions when it comes to antennas. So for example, we have a current SBIR phase 1 effort called Platform as the Antenna, or PETA, where the objective is to develop a conformal or an applique antenna system that can be placed directly onto the platform. So for the time being, we're concentrating on ships, but eventually we want to kind of broaden that scope to aircrafts and our shore sites, so including buildings and whatnot. Continuing with this example, we levied one requirement on them was to provide beamforming capabilities for our new massive MIMO needs. So we are also looking for massive multiple in, multiple out antenna technologies that can support multi-carrier waveforms and other new and improved advanced waveforms. The next sub-bullet there, consolidation of antennas and apertures. So we're looking for solutions that can cover multiple frequency bands. To provide another example, we have a phase 2 SBIR that will develop an antenna system that's based on a Lunenburg lens. So this will ultimately be a multi-beam and a multi-band antenna system. So basically, we're looking for solutions that could potentially consolidate the various antenna systems that we currently have. And of course, that would inherently reduce above deck space. The next bullet there, resilient waveforms. We're always looking for advanced waveforms and multi-carrier waveforms. Advanced signal processing. We're looking for solutions for highly resilient RC3 waveform processing. And that last major bullet there, automation. For me, this really kind of goes hand in hand with RC3. RC3's kind of definition to be able to rapidly recover and to be able to be dynamically adjusting to different changes into the environment. So how do we introduce automation to easily develop mission and communications plans? And how can we make it easier to change them on the fly? And also, can we simplify user interfaces and help reduce user or human error? So those are just some gap areas for RC3. It doesn't mean that that's all that we're looking for. I would say if you're curious and kind of have an inkling that your solution or your company works on technologies that fit within the RC3 space, I say that please reach out to us and kind of pitch what it is that you're doing, and we can always try to figure out a way if there's a way to get you kind of working with our engineers and whatnot to make your solution a reality for the Navy. So the next gap is assured position navigation and timing, or APNT, which is basically the ability to provide our operational forces access to information such as positioning, velocity, altitude, and time, so that they're able to perform their mission under the complete range of threat conditions and domains. So some potential areas to kind of look into, diverse and GPS independent solutions. We're looking for solutions that provide that continuous access to the necessary PNT data, but also with confirmed integrity and sufficient accuracy. And next bullet, as I mentioned before, we are a NavAir organization, so we're also looking for miniaturized and scalable solutions for aviation applications. And then the last major bullet there, innovative sources for APNT. For example, we have a SBIR phase 1 effort called Satellite Communications Antenna Pointing for Positioning, or SCAP. Basically, this effort derives positioning data with GPS-like accuracy by using angles-only based satellite tracking and information that's generated from our SATCOM terminals. So I feel that that's a very innovative way. It's also utilizing assets that we currently have, so our SATCOM terminals, to be able to give us positioning data. So other innovative sources, signals of opportunity. What other signals can we use for navigation that aren't really intended for navigation purposes? Lastly, geophysical navigation. Are we able to use Earth's gravitational field for PNT? Can bathymetry be used, where we take the depth of the oceans and seas and use that for navigation? So these are just some areas to kind of get you brainstorming and kind of familiar with kind of what the different solutions that we're looking for in the position navigation timing space. And the next slide is, it's my question slide, but before I, kind of conclude and ask for questions, I do want to touch briefly on what I believe makes a SBIR effort successful. And Shadi did touch on this in his brief. When you're writing your proposals, do you take that time where you're able to have open communications with the S&T APMs and the authors of the topics? Come prepared with questions and don't leave that meeting until you are fully aware and familiar and you know what the challenge is and the gap that's being addressed. So I can say for 170 side, all of our topics are usually on the broad and very vague side of things, and we do that to not inhibit innovation, but then there's a downside too, because it can be very confusing, and most folks who don't take advantage of that time might write a proposal to something that does not fit into what we were actually thinking. So taking advantage of that time is really important. And the other tip too is really put a lot of thought into the criterias for the proposals, especially the commercialization portion. And a great tip too for, once you have an award, I suggest engaging with the government team early and kind of identifying other applications for your solution within the DoD, across the different services and agencies and whatnot, because marketing your solution earlier on is important because it starts to secure support for you. So when you finally do progress to that phase 3, you have your government cheerleaders and that are there ready to fund your effort to transition into for the warfighter's needs. So that's pretty much all I had. I want to thank you for the opportunity to introduce 170 and our gaps to you. I'd say please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can probably reach out to Gretel for the contact information to be able to set up a time to meet with us. And with that, I'll pass it back to Gretel. I believe it's probably the Q&A session now.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your experience too with SBIRs. This is a SBIR Connect program, so that's kind of like our main thing. And I think my first question will be kind of a setup for that, and I'll ask Shadi this, but just to bring it back, who writes the topics and how are they initiated?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm glad you brought that up. So the folks that are our guest speakers, so McLeana and Carlo, they represent two of our big program offices. If it's not them, it's someone that's within that talk to them, that engage with them. There are government individuals that actually author topics. I think Carlo and McLeana are like one of our few more like hands-on authors. So you'll probably most likely see a topic that's authored by one of them. So to summarize, it's definitely a government person. It's not someone from industry just because of the competitive nature behind the program. It's someone that's representing the program offices themselves.
Thank you, Shadi. And I'll follow up with that one for McLeana and Carlo and Shadi as well, because Shadi used to be an APM for S&T, so he also has experience on that front. But one of the questions that we received, and this was asked multiple times by various people, is there another way besides the SBIR program to present or promote the small business or other companies' technology to you? So is there any other way to interact and drive that conversation with some of your capability gaps, or is it only through a program such as SBIR?
Carlo, you want to go first or me? I guess I'll go first. So I've been the S&T APM for, I would say actually at the beginning of this year, I solely took on the role, but all of my interactions were mostly with SBIRs, and to not specifically just phase 1s. I know Shadi might want to mention direct to phase 2s as well. If there's a performer that or a firm that had a phase 1 before, and you kind of reach out to us and tell us about a solution that you think fits within 170, we can just go straight to a phase 2 as well. But that's pretty much how we've interacted usually with SBIRs.
I think, oh, sorry, Carla, go ahead.
Sorry. And then from 160 standpoint, I'm like I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of industry engagements, and not necessarily from my second hat as a technical director. We reach out to industries, and industries reach out to us with regards to our portfolio, and we give them time to see if some of their technologies or capabilities can solve some of our gaps in solutions. So that's another way, other than the SBIR platform, for companies, big and small, to reach out with us and kind of showcase their technology. Over.
Thank you. And I think one of the follow-up questions that there was, and I think McLean brought it up right now, so that's a next good follow-up on that, is the direct-to-face opportunities with previous SBIR work. Shadi, I don't know if you want to share a couple of those different ways to start that.
Yeah, so one of the unique things about the SBIR STTR program is that if you've participated in SBIR and STTR before, and you've been awarded a prior like phase 1 or phase 2 award, it's a great launch platform for us to do a follow-on phase 2 with that particular small business. So I like to think of it as a way to save time and money, because we're capitalizing on some existing work that that's been done already. I would kind of add to McLean's point, which McLean, I thought, that those some really good points that you brought up, which is, if a great starting point or a good sort of discussion point to be made with McLean and Carlo, if you are interested in doing work under 160 and 170, or those respective program offices, is to mainly probably bring up your past portfolio of projects. That I think is a really key thing, especially if you've done SBIRs before, because we can do a follow-on phase 2 if there's interest from the program office.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that, and Shadi, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the best course of action in that sense is reaching out to the program manager of whichever SysCom or agency you're trying to interact with. So if you're looking at NAVOR for 160 and 170, the best course of action would be for you to reach out to Shadi and say, hey, can you connect me? This is what I'm working on. This is what I have in the past. And then he can direct you to like the right person or the right point of contact for you to start that discussion and also start the steps. Because at the end of the day, Shadi is the one that controls all SBIR efforts in NAVOR. So he's going to be the one that's your best resource center for that.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, you use, I think, myself as a focal point or the main POC, and we're happy to direct it to the right program office if there's any interest. Because I know these guys on the phone, McLean and Carlo, are very busy with their own respective program offices. So we like to provide a first pass filter on anything that comes in. Thanks, Gretel.
Yeah, and to add on to that, that's one of the reasons why SBIR Connect was created, is to help facilitate this conversation. So we do have that website with all of those resources. My email is there. The SBIR Connect email is there. And I talk to Shadi every day. So your email will not be lost. It will get through, and I will do my best to connect you to the right avenues for that. So the next question is, can you address process for transition to program of records for long-term funding SBIR initiatives?
Oh, that's a big one. and so, yeah, that really kind of ties into what I was saying earlier. Having that very first engaging with the program offices really early on, and ensuring that you're keeping them informed of the progress. I will do my best to include any of the big, like our PM or program manager as well, to kind of know how our SBIR efforts and our S&T efforts are doing. I would say another thing to do is, if you have the ability to provide prototypes early on or do a lot of demos, that gets a lot of our government folks kind of up front and kind of like working with you to kind of see how your system works, and they can also give you feedback to be able to better make changes if necessary, kind of give you a little insight as to performance. So I would say doing that engagement with government is key, because their support is what you ultimately need, right, to get the funding for phase 3. yeah, that would be my main advice there, is to stay engaged, let us know how things are going, work with us to try to plan these demonstrations and different testing events. Do your best to market your solution, not only to our program office, but there might be other applications. So since we're NavAir also, there's various different types of aircrafts, right? So the different PMAs might also be available to help, and yeah, hopefully that helped.
Yeah, thank you. Carla and Shadi, anything else?
I think the comment that I would make is every program office is different on how they transition. So there's not a set way, and it's they have their own distinct way of transitioning. Whether having been in a program office myself, there's like a specific maturity level, and there's a specific experimentation event that has to be planned before anything gets to the program office and actually using their own funding. So just take it as it is that every transition journey is going to be unique. But I echo that what McLeana says, that getting that engagement and keeping that engagement is really important.
Right, and it's important because the way our funding goes, right, when we're palming for things, we need to think several years ahead. So that early engagement will help, because if we're asking for money that you need for phase 3 the year before, that's not going to happen. So your solution is probably going to be sitting there for another, I want to say 3 years, until funding comes from the government. So that early engagement is key.
Yeah, thank you. And I think this is the last question, and it's going to relate a lot to Shadi's presentation, which is, are there any active projects right now that they could participate in?
Okay, and even that's even a big question when I think about it. So, I mean, within SBIR, I would say that okay, so the term active projects to me, like active awards, of course, a small business is awarded a SBIR SETR. So if a company would like to be a part of those active projects, maybe the best direction to go is to contact the small business directly if they want to engage in that partnership. All of the SBIR awards and the POCs for every company that has participated in that award is listed on SBIR.gov. I know it's a little different website from where the topics are posted for DoD, but SBIR.gov has every award across the SBIR arena, even outside of DoD. And if you take a look at every single award, you can search by various criteria. But if you search by award, you can get the contact information of the small business that won the award. And that might be a good open segue to participating in those active projects.
And then to add on to that, Shadi did mention this, that we are currently on a pre-release period for the 21.2/B cycle. So the website, the website that we provided earlier has all of the DoD wide topics that you can propose solutions to, given that you have something that can have that solution for that topic. And I think there was quite a bit of topics that were released this cycle, and one of those is NavWar, and Shadi did mention that's a space topic. So that is out there for you to read, and it might be helpful to just look at what other areas, not just PMW 160 and 170 are working on, but what are some of the other interests within the DoD. So that's a good way to also find out if you're aligned to any of the DoD AORs or areas of responsibility. So I think with that said, we have 1 minute left, which is great because there's no more questions. So thank you so much to all of you, Carla, McLeana, and Shadi, for your time, but also to all the participants that came and listened. If you have any leftover questions, please reach out to me. I'll make sure that your questions get answered and get to the right hands so that you have the best answer possible. And this is only our second workshop, so we do want your feedback. We'll be sending a survey out. Let us know what you want to hear, what would be best for our future workshops. And once again, thank you so much.
Cool.
Bye, everybody.
Everyone,
Yeah.
have a good day.
Bye.